Welcome back. All right, so as promised, I am getting the review started, and I'll be reviewing the third period. Well, yeah, the third period of this game. Well, I'll review that game after it's done. Because we don't know how that's going to end. That's why I'm not wearing one of the Winter Classic jerseys. Normally I would for reviewing the Winter Classic, but even though it's a lopsided score, I'm not going to take the chance that I throw on a Blues jersey and then there's a magical comeback by Chicago. So, that being said, let us discuss Boston and Washington first. So Swayman versus Thompson in this one in a minute and 21 seconds in. It takes a Bruins bounce off that stanchion right to Brazeau. Brazeau puts it in. Wotherspoon with the assist. It's 1-0 Boston. Bruins look for another. Things are pushing a hold by Thompson. It's really all Bruins early on. The shots are 4-0. We're only 4 minutes in. Chikrin has a rush chance that's blocked. Coiled Lindholm near miss there. There's a press by the Capitals at the half. And then on a pass from behind the net, Protas scores at 12:05. Dubois and Wilson with the assists. With 3:05 left, the Caps go to the power play. And they score on it at 17-11. It's Chikrin roofing one from the right circle. Strome and Carlson with the assists. That makes it 2-1 for the Capitals. 12.1 seconds left. We got 2 minutes of 4-on-4. So that's going to roll over to the second period to score 2-1 for Washington. In the second period, Pastrnak has a rush chance. That's blocked. Shots are 2-1 Washington, 3.5 minutes in. The Bruins draw a power play. Low rise denied. Caps cleared out. That power play is killed off. The Caps rush after it's done. Pressed by Washington halfway through the period. Bruins press back with 9 minutes left. The shots are 6-5 Boston with 7.5 minutes left. Bruins press with 6.5 minutes left, but they're kept to the outside. They don't actually get shots out of it as the Capitals are blocking the net. Things are pushy on a hold by Swayman. There's a power play for Boston. That's killed off. No shots. It stays 2-1 Capitals after 2. Third period. Early chances for both teams. The Bruins press at 2 minutes. Kastelik can't bury one in close. The shots are only one apiece. 4 minutes in. Caps are blocking the path to the net pretty well. Ferrari was down in that third period there. Wilson caught him high with a high stick, obviously accidental. There's a near miss for Dylan Strome on a net drive. The Caps draw a power play. Things are punchy on a hold by Swayman. That power play ends up being killed off. The Bruins press with 8 minutes left. The teams trade turnovers. The Bruins press with the goaltender pulled, but at 19:51, Protas with his second of the game hits the empty net. Tom Wilson with the assist, and so Washington wins 3-1. They go to 25-10-2 with the win. With the loss, Boston 20-15-4 on the season. Shots on net 11-10 Washington in the first, 8-6 Washington in the second, 11-8 Boston in the third. Both teams had 27 shots in this one. Power plays Boston 0 for 2, Washington 1 for 2. The hits 26-16 for the Capitals. Swayman saves 24 out of 26. Thompson saves 26 out of 27. All right, next up, the Islanders in Toronto. So these teams will meet again on Thursday in New York. And it's Sorokin versus Woll. Things are pushy and a hold by Woll. The hitting's ramping up early in this one. It does not remain a heavy hitting game. There's a near miss for Pacioretty on a net drive. And 7 minutes in, the shots are 4-3 for the Islanders. We get a power play for Toronto. That's killed off. One shot on net. Islanders press with 8.5 minutes left. Pulock has a shot that's blockered aside. And then at 17:53, on a pass from behind the net, Camp scores from Nylander and Tanev. We then get a post for Dewar on a rush. It's 1-0 Toronto after the first. Second period, the Islanders score. Is it offside? Yes. We get a press by the Islanders a minute and a half. Timmins has a wrister that's caught and held. The Leafs score. Goalie interference? Yes. No goal. It's just, there's so many of these replays now. It's just, anyways. I might have been, saying out loud stuff about that during that review process. Shots are 5-2 for Toronto at 4.5 minutes. The Leafs press at 5.5 minutes. Tanev takes a puck to the face. He heads off for stitches. I would assume on top of other stitches he has from that. He does return to the game because he's Chris Tanev. It's what he does. We get a power play for the Islanders. There's a shorthanded rush by Lawrence that finishes that off, but there were 3 shots for the Islanders on their power play. And then at 11:59 on a cross-ice pass, Pajot buries one. Dobson and Barzal with the assists. So it's 1-1. Not for long. At 12:15, Lawrence on a fast break scores from Reeves and Dewar. That is the first goal for Lawrence in 24 games. It's his 4th of the season as well. The Leafs press with 6 minutes left. The Islanders get pinned down. They're forced to ice it. And eventually, because they're so tired with 3:13 left, the Leafs get a power play. The Islanders do kill that off. It's 2-1 Toronto after 2. Third period, there's 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Teams trade rushes. The shots are 3-0 for the Islanders, 3.5 minutes in. The Islanders press at 6.5 minutes. Things are pushy on a hold by Woll. Shots are 7-1 for the Islanders at 9 minutes. The Leafs press with 7.5 minutes left. There's a crossbar for Matthew Barzal on a rush. Fans call one, the referee does not. Not long after, with 5:03 left, Toronto does get a power play. There's a shorthanded breakaway for Nelson. That chance is held. That power play is killed off. The goalie pull happens with 2:10 left. With 42.3 left, the Leafs get a power play. I mentioned this in the news video. Patrick Waugh, because on the penalty kill you're starting in your own zone, he just has the goalie out. So it was 5-on-5. And Tavares hits the empty net at 19:27. Nylander and Marner with the assists. So it's a 3-1 win for Toronto. They go to 23-13-2 with the win. With the loss, the Islanders 14-17-7 on the year. Shots on net, 9-7 Islanders in the first, 13-12 Toronto in the second, 10-5 Islanders in the third. The Islanders outshoot Toronto 31-25. Power plays, the Islanders 0-for-1, Toronto 1-for-4. The hits, 20-19 for Toronto. Sorokin saves 22 out of 24. Woll saves 30 out of 31. So, big win for Toronto. We'll see if they win in New York against the Islanders on Thursday. All right, next up, Montreal and Vegas. How about this road trip? So it's Montembeault versus Hill. The Habs press at 2 minutes, but on a turnover rush, Whitecloud scores at 2:23. Hertl and Colasar with the assists. Vegas is always dangerous in transition. You have to watch your turnovers. You have to make sure that everybody's aware of where those forwards are on the ice, because they can turn a situation where they're pressed, they're in their own zone, they can't get out, into a 3-on-0 pretty quickly. Not that was a 3-on-0, but just I've seen it. Vegas is very, very good in transition. Habs look to respond. The shots are 4 apiece, 4 minutes in. The Habs press at 6 minutes, but they're kept to the outside. Pressed by the Vegas Golden Knights, 9 minutes in. Anderson has a rush chance, that's held. Stone to Olofsson, there's a near miss there. Caulfield has a shot that's caught and held, and at 19:50, Hanifin on a wrister from the slot scores from Howden. It's 2-0 Vegas after 1 period of play. Second period, Habs press at 3 minutes. The only shot on net is Montreal's 4 minutes in. Good forechecking by Montreal. Eichel has a 2-on-1 chance, that's held. Vegas presses at 8.5 minutes. We get a power play for Vegas. Hertl hits a post during that. That power play is killed off. Hudson has a rush chance that's defended. Shots are 8-2 for the Vegas Golden Knights with 6 minutes left. Pressed by Vegas with 4.5 minutes left. And there's a near miss by Doc as the Habs press. And then at 17:27, Caulfield puts one in from the side of the net. It's his 100th NHL goal. Suzuki and Slavkovsky with the assists. That makes it 2-1 for Vegas. The Habs look to tie it. Vegas presses in the final minute. Vegas scores after the horn. So it's no goal. It was close, but yeah, it was no goal. The Habs 0-13 this season when trailing after 2. So not a great omen, but the third period, things go well to start. There's an early press by Montreal. Howden has a net feed that's kicked aside. Olofsson can't bury one in close. The shots are 3-1 for Vegas at 5.5 minutes. Doc is denied on a net drive. Vegas is always spring-loaded. As I mentioned, you've really got to watch for them in transition. Things are pushy on a hold by Hill, and then at 7:57, on a failed clear, Heineman gets one. Savard with the assist. So Heineman buries the rebound at the net, and it makes it a 2-2 tie. And then on a 2-on-1 rush, it's Kirby Dach, who's been red hot lately. He scores from Josh Anderson at 10:07. Montreal has their first lead of the game. Remember, they were trailing 2-0 after 1. Vegas presses with 7.5 minutes left. The goalie pull would happen with 2 minutes left. The Habs guilty of an icing with 1:07 left. Vegas calls a timeout. Montembeault ends up hanging on to this. I saw a lot of Vegas fans really angry at their effort. I don't think it was their effort. I think just Montembeault was a very good goaltender today and helps Montreal get a win here. Montreal with the 3-2 win, they go to 17-17-3. With the loss, Vegas 25-9-3, a very rare loss at home. Montreal's now beaten Florida, Tampa, and Vegas on this road trip consecutively. So that is very impressive for Montreal. So while Vegas fans might be all up in arms about how it ended up, in the end, Montreal's just been quite good on this road trip. Shots on net, 9-8 Montreal in the first, 8-5 Vegas in the second, 13-8 Vegas in the third. Final shots, 29-22 for the Golden Knights. Power plays, Montreal did not have one. Vegas goes 0-for-1. The hits, 39-22 for Montreal. Montembeault, 27 saves on 29 shots. And Aiden Hill, 19 saves on 22 shots at the other end. So, I'm going to pause this. We'll watch the third period. Notice I haven't even taken the 4 off the board. 4 is always on the board just in case game's going to overtime, and I don't want to be struggling around looking for that magnet. I leave it there until the game is done, except in certain circumstances. So just in case there might be a Chicago comeback, but once I hit this pause button, we'll get to the part where I find out that there wasn't a Chicago comeback. All right, so the Winter Classic, Bennington versus Mrazek. It was raining pretty hard before the game got started. It did stop during the game, which is good because that's a dangerous situation we don't want to see out there, right? So early power play for the Blues, and they score on it. Cam Fowler in his 1,000th game gets goal here. Buchnevich and Thomas with the assists at 140, and that was the first shot on net for the St. Louis Blues. Blues press at 4 minutes. The shots are 3-1 in favor of St. Louis 6 minutes into the period. Blues go back to the power play, and they score on it again. This time it's Kyrou tipping one in from beside the net. Neighbors and Holloway with the assists at 8 minutes and 10 seconds. It's 2-0 for St. Louis. Blues press with 9.5 minutes left. We get an offensive zone penalty by Broberg. That sends Chicago to the power play. That was killed off, or almost actually. There's a post for Robert Thomas during a shorthanded 2-on-1, and then 15 seconds left in the power play. Hall scores on a rebound. Donato with the assist at 15:26. Donato intercepting a clearing attempt, so Chicago does score on their power play. 2-1 St. Louis at that point. Hawks press with 2.5 minutes left, and Chance the Rapper played during intermission. So I'm not really familiar with his work, so I hope that was a good rendition of his work. So you go to second period. Early power play by the Blues again. That leads to a shorthanded rush by Dickinson. Chicago kills it off this time. Shots are 4-0 St. Louis 4 minutes in. Crevier has a net drive chance that's saved, and then at 7:15 on a face-off win, Falk scores from Broberg and Sundqvist, and that was a point shot past the screen. No chance there for Mrazek. That makes it 3-1. And right about here's where the announce team is trying to talk about how the Hawks could make a comeback, and I'm thinking, have you watched Chicago this year? So power play for Chicago, that's killed off. The Hawks press after it's done. Hall's denied on a turnover, and then Holloway. After Falk hits the post, Holloway puts it in the net, his 14th of the season. Falk and Shen with the assists at 13:34, and then St. Louis would add another. At 17:51, it's Fowler with his second of the game. Texier with the assist. It's a point shot past a screen, so Mrazek couldn't see some of these pucks today that went past him. We had a fight between Shen and Foligno on the following face-off. Then things are kind of fighty late in the second period. After 2 periods of play, it's 5-1. The fighting would stop to start the third period. There wasn't any real big fights or big hits or any big moments in that third period. Early power play for the Hawks, that's killed off. In fact, they don't get a shot. The shots are 2-0 St. Louis 4 minutes into the period. Hawks just aren't getting to the Blues net. There's a near miss for Nazar on a rush chance. 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Hawks press early in that 4-on-4. Chicago then goes back to the power play, and they score on this one. It is Bertuzzi going near corner from the left circle. Jones and Bedard with the assists at 11:15. So for Connor Bedard, that's a 5-game point scoring streak. But St. Louis would answer at 16:18. Texier buries a rebound. Falk and Walker with the assists. So the final score in this one, 6-2 for St. Louis. Not a great game to watch. 18-17-4 win for, or 18-17-4 record for St. Louis with the win. With the loss, Chicago 12-24-2. And there wasn't any tension in this game. When they're talking about highlights and talking about a fight as one of the highlights, it just shows you how lopsided this was. Shots on net don't reflect that. 10-7 Chicago in the first, 15-11 Chicago in the second, 10-5 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 30-28 for Chicago. Power play, St. Louis 2 for 3, Chicago 2 for 4. The hits, 20-17 St. Louis. Bennington saves 28 out of 30. He had an excellent game. St. Louis also made sure he saw most of those pucks. Mrazek, 22 saves on 28 shots. He did not see a lot of the pucks that went past him, and that's problematic. But at any rate, they win the Winter Classic. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching. There's now 7 more games that have just started while I'm finishing this off, but I'm not missing as much as I would have if I waited on the entire thing. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.